Hey everyone, this is Andrew at Plainview Farm, and it's official. I'm out of grass, which means that these goats and cows and donkeys, wherever the donkeys are, want some of that hay. But before I can feed any hay to the animals, I'm gonna have to put the bale spear back on the farm-all tractor. So come along and we'll feed a little bit of hay this afternoon. So I've still got pond scrapings stuck in the bucket of the tractor. Still trying to get the pond cleaned out. And we've had some rain and some other things going on. I haven't got that job done yet, but the rain has caused the dirt to get wet, which makes it sticky. And causes it to stick in the bucket. It's good enough. Now we're going to start by putting a top link on the bucket here. So it doesn't have to be overly secure. All it's got to do is just keep the bale from falling. So put it over in our trusty hook. That way I can dump all this dirt out. Turn on the fuel. Gloves are a little worn out, you can see. Make sure it's out of gear. Choke a little. And the old tractors are going. Pulled the trough out of the way. Ciao, babies. Ciao, babies. Okay, so to put this simply, this bale spear is a 3-point bale spear that I picked up for like 75 bucks. What a bargain. It had been modified by a previous owner who welded a pipe down here that was actually stuck out quite a bit farther than this so that it could go on the back of a pickup and be used to winch a bale up onto the back of a truck. Well, I cut the pipe off right there and also on the other side, and now that pipe serves as like a lip or a catch for the edge of the bucket. show you here in just a second. So if you look right here, you can see again how this pipe kind of catches on there, and the weight of the bale holds everything on. We use gravity to our advantage here. And I just use the top link to put a pin through the top of this thing. Like I said, gravity keeps this thing right where it's supposed to be. So we will unhook our fence. Now we can stab the first unsuspecting bale. Now the way that I feed hay is I feed it out in the field. I don't have a setup where I can do any deep bedding, composting, that kind of a thing, as much as I would like to, and then, you know, be able to use a manure spreader to spread all the leftovers back onto the pasture in the spring. So the way that I feed hay is I put it out in the field for the cows, the donkeys, the goats, everything to just graze it off of the ground. And what that does is that puts the manure directly back onto the pasture. You kind of skip a step. You don't get to add extra things in like wood chips or sawdust or whatever else it may be to kind of help build your soil, but at the same time you are getting the benefit of feeding that hay on the ground where you can spread the manure out on the pasture, either with the drag or let, you know, Mother Nature take its course. Now, one of the best things about this is I don't put up my own hay. I don't have the pasture quality in order to do my own hay. I buy hay. This hay actually came from a neighbor, and in buying hay, one of the greatest benefits of that is that I am importing the nutrients onto my farm. You know, there's fertilizer value in this hay, and I'm going to be spreading it on my fields. It's basically the same thing as spreading fertilizer. I think I'll feed it right out here. Now these are string wrapped bales, and I'll just cut the string off and I'll put out just enough hay for the animals to have for today. That prevents them from making a bed out of it and wasting a bunch of it. We don't want that. Hay's expensive, and it's hard to come by the farther you get on into the winter. So, you know, the goal is to early in the year get as much as you need, and then I hate to say stingy, but be careful with it. But to be careful with it, you know, to make sure that the animals are getting what they need, but also that they're not wasting a bunch of it. Watch it, Ruby. Excuse me, cows. We'll peel off the outer layer here. Ciao, Sam. So now you may be asking yourself, well, Andrew, why don't you just use a bale ring? Well, that's because I find bale rings to be very inefficient, I guess would probably be the best way for me to put it. The area that you put a bale ring often ends up being a mud hole, and then you still end up with waste hay. You've got cattle pulling the hay out of the bale ring, and they still waste a good portion of it. So, I mean, it beats just rolling out a bale, like the whole bale, giving the cows the whole bale, letting them have the whole thing, to which they eat what they want and lay. You know, it's more efficient than that, but I can make a bale go a whole lot further if I feed it this way than if I put it in a bale ring as well. So I'm gonna move and spread out a little bit more. Now, something else I've also done in the past is set the bale down, rolled it out a little ways, stabbed it back with the tractor, or attempted to stab it again with the tractor, and take it back and put it away. I've also discovered whenever I try to do that, that I end up making a mess out of the bale. So what I'll actually do is whenever I finish with this bale, I'll take it back up here, put it back with the rest of the hay, and I'll leave the bale spear in it. For some reason, I can't seem to get the thing picked back up without making a big mess out of it. And I'm not too proud to admit that that's probably operator issues more than anything else. Now, one of the good things about doing it this way as well is that whenever I dump off the first layer of hay, the cows will go straight to that one because, you know, they're the big guys on campus here, which is fine because we actually want the goats to get a little bit better quality hay. I don't like for the goats to eat that first layer of hay because there's a potential for mold issues. I mean, it's not too big of a problem for us. We've not really had that big of an issue with it, but at the same time, I'd rather it not be an issue. So again, the goats, they'll end up down here in the better stuff while the cows think they're beating everybody to the punch by eating the old weather-beaten layer on the outside of the bale. All right, I think that's probably good for tonight. So I'm gonna take this bale back up there. Like I said, take the spear off and leave it in the bale. That way I can put it all back on tomorrow when I feed again. right, there we go. Shut off the fuel at the tractor, empty the carburetor. That way there's no fuel sitting in the line or sitting in the carburetor. So there's still a few days left in November. I was hoping to make it into the month of December before I had to feed hay, but you know what, this is close enough. We didn't have nearly the rain that we should have this summer, so there wasn't much in the way of stockpile grass. So I'm feeding hay early. Last year it was well after the first of the year before I had to start feeding hay. I fed some because of weather. Early on we got some snow and ice, that kind of thing, but I still had plenty of stockpiled grass to get me well into to the first of 2023, going into last winter. But this year it's a different story. Bought extra hay this year, bought a little bit more than I did last year, so hopefully everything will go as I've calculated, figured out, and I won't have any issues. But regardless, hay feeding season is upon us, at least us here at Plainview Farm. So as always, I hope you found this video to be useful, or at the very least entertaining. And if you did, please do me a favor and hit that like button, and I would appreciate it if you consider subscribing to our channel if you've not yet already. So as always, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. All right, goats. All right, goats. Oh, tractor finally ran out of fuel.